I'm here with Hawona Sullivan Janzen, a poet and performing artist. Great to have you here with us today, Hawona.
Great to be here, Brianna.
So I know you're a poet, but it might be more accurate to call you an interdisciplinary performer. How did your career go from just poetry to expanding to so much more?
Well, actually, I started my career as a curator. I curated exhibitions for many years. And so from that started to flow this need to write beautiful descriptions for the text. And one day it dawned on me that I was creating these poems. And so I applied to the Gibbons Foundation Fellowship and had an amazing year with a mentor who helped me to develop my poetry and have been writing ever since. That was about 9 years ago, I think.
Speaking of inspiration, you've said that your walks along the Mississippi River have inspired a lot of your work. Could you expand on that? What kind of works have you done?
I could. So I was born in the deep South in Louisiana and have lived in Minnesota for the last 25 years. And so one of the things that those two places have in common is the Mississippi River. And so when I walk along the river, I walk because nature gives me peace. But um, day after day, I start to think about how many people have walked along those shores since the beginning of time and began to write about that. I've written some contemporary poems about it. I'm actually at work on an opera about some encounters that Native peoples and European people and African American peoples had at Pike Island. It is a place that continues to inspire.
That's great. And I know that you have a piece of poetry that you'd like to share with us. And I believe that it is also inspired by the Mississippi River.
It is. It's a piece that I wrote for a project I'm working on called the Rondo Family Reunion. It's meeting elders from the Rondo neighborhood and talking to them, and then writing poems about their lives. I'd love to share it with you.
I'd love to hear it.
It's called Uncle Speed. How you doing? He says. His clothes are pressed, his shoes are clean, his hair is done to perfection. He reminds me every moment I see him of the past and future greatness that lingers in the people of Rondo, we, beautiful and brown. Speed is so close to me now that I think if I reach out and touch him, I can change this old burned out light bulb of a world into something that is shiny and new. There are rumors that once, when the Mississippi River was full of unrest, Speed walked to her ancient shores with a mouthful of butter and soothed her mind with stories of the things they loved, warm summer days and good food. Speed calmed the river so that she made him a plate of biscuits from scratch, and he pulled the still unmelted butter from his mouth and laid it on a plate of Eurasian milfoil, thereby curing the pandemic. And she, the mighty river, and he, the mighty man, ate and cried and laughed together for so long that when he had gone, that river refused to flood for 20 years. And if that story is true, it is also true that we, wrapped up in our own minds and secure in the knowledge that the river would not flood, built our cities, our houses, our temples on her shore, and went on with our days, and never did give credit where credit was due. So I'm here now to say thank you, Speed, from the bottom of my heart, for all you have done and all that you still plan to do. For if you have taught us but one thing, that thing is to love the river, and the river will always love us back.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Hawona, and thank you for being here today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.